Hello everybody, my name is Caroline Jensen, and this is my presentation for Race, Equity, Gender, Access, and Class. Really, this presentation isn't about any of those things, but more about how your leadership qualities can eliminate the division between those things. So we're first going to start with a video, a TED Talk, and then I'm going to end with discussing an article that talks about understanding inclusion across various countries and how inclusive leadership varies around the world. So the first exhibit here is a video by Rosalind Torres. She's a senior partner and managing director at a consulting firm. She asked questions like, what innovative methods can help prepare the next generation of leaders, and how do we enable leaders to learn past modes and habits of success? So she's really talking about what it takes to be a great leader, and a lot of those things involve inclusive leadership. I'm going to let you watch that in your own time. It's about 10 minutes, but it's really fantastic, as all TED Talks are. But what is she really saying? What is the big concept? Relying on traditional developmental practices will stunt your growth as a leader. So really her message is that you cannot continue to do what you've always been doing, nor can you continue to use what has been used in the past. And she gives three basic points that three questions that she says that every leader should ask themselves. So number one, where are you looking for change in your business model, and where are you putting your attention? So this is really self-reflection for any leader, whether it be teacher or giant corporation CEO. But what you have to reflect on what it is that you are observing about your business model. Are you observing the way it makes you feel? Are you observing numbers? What are you looking at when you think about your leadership skills and how you're doing? The second question is, what is the diversity measure of your network? So when you think about your number one, your answers, where were you getting those answers? Was it from the same person every time? Was it from somebody who always supports you no matter what you do? Or was it from someone who maybe disagrees with you sometime or would have a different perspective than you do? The third question, which is very important, is where are you getting your feedback and ideas? And are you willing to abandon the practices that have worked in the past? So number three, I think, is the least obvious, maybe the most difficult, and definitely scares people the most. Are you willing to take criticism, basically? And are you looking to people who would criticize you, who have a different perspective, for reflection? Okay, so the next part of my inclusive leadership presentation is a report called The View from 6 Countries, the view of inclusive leadership, that is. And they studied many different cultures and looked at different examples of inclusive leadership. And they tried to compare what was the difference, what was the meaning. Did leadership mean something different? Did including people include different things in different cultures? And the answer was no. Actually, there are striking similarities across most countries in how employees characterize inclusion and the leadership behaviors that help foster it. So what are those behaviors? The more included employees felt, the more innovative they were in their jobs, the more engaged they were, and they just felt more belongingness, which led to more productivity. So look at your classroom, look at your fellow teachers. Are you including them? Are you trusting them? Are there opportunities to do more of this? And obviously these things lead to improvement, better work ethic, and better happiness in your position. Okay, so part 2, how can we apply this knowledge at school? Well, for number 1, as a teacher, of course, lead by example. So are you spending your time and attention wisely? Don't spend your precious non-renewable resource of time on things that don't aren't essential. The second one, watch your language. Use words and phrases that best express the culture that you want to create. So I think a wonderful way to do this is record yourself teaching, or record yourself talking to your peers if that's the kind of situation that you're in. It can be extremely revealing to see what kind of language that you're using, and you know, listen for those keywords. Maybe you could just twerk things a little bit to make everyone feel a little bit more included. Thirdly, ask purposeful questions. Raise the questions that intentionally stimulate people to think more about their purpose and their values at work or in the classroom. So I think that goes back to keeping it fresh, what Torres was telling us about, that you need to ask the questions that maybe sometimes you don't want to hear the answer to, or make sure that you're getting kind of an objective overview. And that goes as well for the seeking feedback. Foster collaboration. You have to remember that you shouldn't be talking too much, but you should be doing listening. So you should be monitor how much of the time you spend talking, and make sure that people in your life have an opportunity to respond, whether it be your students or your coworkers. And then I just want to touch a little bit on the Encourage the Heart video. And the three most important things I took from that video was a leader recognize accomplishments. So make sure you're saying thank you, make sure you are, you know, rewarding people for things that maybe they don't even see as an accomplishment, but just identifying that can help them recognize it as one and make them feel better about what they're doing. Also appreciate in ways that suit the audience. So the example from the Encourage the Heart video was an employee who, to be recognized in public would be just awful, almost punishment. So, you know, recognize that. Maybe some people just need a little side nudge just to know that you are listening, or maybe your students like to have their name on the board. You know, it's just recognize your audience is the takeaway message there. So what are some of the challenges of inclusive leadership? We can talk about it and it all sounds great, but putting it into the classroom, what are going to be some of the challenges? And I'm going to address three here. The first one is setting the proper tone. So oftentimes the first speaker in a meeting or in the classroom can set the tone for the whole day or for the whole meeting. So think about that and think about ways around that. Maybe ask your students to do a little brainstorming quietly to themselves before, or you know, talk more about where you'd like the meeting to go, and then give people time to talk maybe with their partner. Anyways, give them a heads up so that they can help you make it a positive experience. Number two, the loudest roar. So we all know this student who, given the chance, will talk all the time, just loves to have the spotlight, and we all know the students who can do quite the opposite. They just love to not be in the spotlight and would happily give it to someone else. So when you're having this kind of inclusive classroom, it's important to make sure that the loudest person doesn't just take over the whole thing. So there's a number of ways that you can do this, but setting sort of a protocol and making sure that everyone gets an equal turn is very important. And then the third one, let's see if I can move this screen a little bit. So the third one is assigning someone to be the devil's advocate, because a lot of times when you are just letting everyone speak, there's kind of feeling like you don't want to rock the boat, and they all just want to kind of agree, and that's not really getting very what's the word, you know, contrary beliefs or new knowledge, and maybe people don't feel like they can express their opinions, or students, for example. So an idea to solve this problem is assigning someone the devil's advocate. So this is the person who kind of gets a feel before the meeting or the lesson or the, you know, discussion time, and finds the contrary beliefs and kind of helps to be the advocate for that side of things. I think it's a great idea, especially I think students would just love to have that kind of opportunity. So my last slide, our last section, how can reading specialists apply this? Because that is the program that I'm studying. I think that this could be applied in every level of your profession, supervising and and teaching other teachers. It's important to communicate when you're working with your coworkers or peers that you're not above them, that they have an opportunity to contribute, and that you're there to collaborate. Same goes for working with parents and also for strategies of classroom management. If you can set up better communication protocols for your classroom, overall the learning is going to the level of learning is going to improve, and I think students are going to feel safer and more willing to talk. Share. Okay, that is the end of my presentation. Thank you so much for listening, and good luck with yours.